just beer. Just beer.
Yeah, loads of watching videos, researching, and then it was like, well, we could record it now, but we could go and have a pint, couldn't we? Yeah. It's heavy. It's heavy shit.
I know.
Watching all that stuff. I mean, I don't want to get into it too early, but bloody God Almighty.
Yeah. Yeah, all in one go. It's a lot, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's nice to kind of have that break in the middle before you start. What you're doing now, and just talking about the stuff we've been looking at for the last few days.
Yeah. What were you telling me earlier about?
About life, about pain and suffering. No, what was I talking about earlier on? Oh God, so many things, man.
It was when you told me in the pub about your friend with the motorcycle.
Oh my God, yeah, that's a mad tale. Yeah, we were talking about memorabilia, and we were discussing it in a pub in Shrewsbury called the Anchor in Frankwell.
Which I think you still need commission for, because the pies, you've been talking about the pies.
Amazing, great pies.
And I had the pie.
Yeah, lovely pie. But 16, 17 years ago, I was in that very pub, and I was told this very tale, but from this old fella. He said that his son and his son's friend had gone camping in France on the cheap, like camping in fields and stuff, And they stayed in this farmer's field. They got permission from the farmer to stay in the barn. And in the barn, they were camping, sleeping there. And in the back of the barn, they found a very old, very kind of like rusty, fucked up old Harley Davidson. Very, very old. And these two lads got drunk. And they discussed how they should, offer the farmer some money, buy the bike, and then bring it back to the UK and restore it. Morning comes. One of them doesn't want to do it anymore. One of them is still interested in doing it. Chats to the farmer, buys a bike, gets the shit back to the UK. Now, I hope people fact check this story because it would be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah. Where is it now?
Where is it now? So he gets his motorbike back to the UK. A year later, he starts working on it. He starts restoring it. And he needs to get some bits. So he rings up the Harley Davidson company and says, I need these parts for this bike. And they say, well, give us a serial number of the bike and go ship what you want. So he reads out the serial number, doesn't think too much of it, and then leaves it a few days. And it's about midnight, phone rings. This chap who's living in the West Midlands, by all accounts, gets up, answers the phone, and it's the Harley Davidson factory in America. And they wanted this guy to just confirm that he had the correct serial number for the motorbike. The guy goes downstairs, he kind of gets dressed, goes downstairs.
At this point, you'd be thinking, what? Why?
What's going on? What are they phoning me up this time for?
Yeah.
I mean, I really need that exhaust, but this is a bit inconvenient.
Yeah. That's great customer service.
Yeah, so he goes downstairs, reads out the serial, confirms that it was the correct serial number. At which point there's a pause on the phone. Then the person on the phone says, is there a leather cover, leather cover on the seat? And the guy says, yes, there is. And the chap on the phone says, would you mind taking it off and just having a look underneath? The guy takes off this leather bike cover, which has probably been on there for years.
And when you're telling me this, I'm thinking, what's going to...
Yeah, for years. Pulls it off and there's a plaque there. And on that plaque it said, to James Dean.
Oh, shit.
And it was an old Harley that was given to James Dean, I think during filming in France. That's what this chap said.
That's what, we'd have to find if there's
filming
a film.
In France from Harley Davidson, and it was just left there, abandoned there. And ended up in the UK. At which point, when the guy does, confirms that it says there's this plaque on the seat that says to James Dean, the company buys it there and then over the phone. They just offer him a lot of money. I think I was quoted $1 million. That's what I was told in the pub.
Oh shit!
$1 million, and the guy says yes. And 2 days later they collect it, and it's now in a museum somewhere.
Fucking hell!
Yeah, James Dean's is.
I think from you saying that, I'm sure someone told me that one of their friends in Shropshire somewhere were metal detecting.
Mate,
and they found a load of Roman coins.
Yeah.
And they were worth obviously a lot of money. And that I think in the museum in Shrewsbury, in the square, I've got some of them in there, something like that anyway. But yeah, he just came across them under like a tree, just...
Mate, there's some massive halls in Shropshire. Well, all over the UK. I heard a story recently, it was hush hush by all accounts. I heard it in Bishop's Castle about 7 years ago. There's a very large court case. These guys had been metal detecting at night, found this hoard.
Night detectors.
Yeah, night detectors, very bad. Found a hoard of coins. Now, if you find coins, the first thing you've got to do, you ring up the council, and every council has an archaeologist.
Oh, right.
On call. And so if you find anything of historical significance, you have to register it with the council and this person. Often you're encouraged to bury it and leave it, and then they'll come back 2 days later, meet you there, and then you uncover it. And then it's not disturbed. So it's all about not disturbing whatever you find. And these lads somewhere in Shropshire found a massive hoard worth a fortune. They just dug it up and took it off.
Oh.
And they started trying to sell it online.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and then there was this massive, big case recently. I don't know where that
So they
came
didn't go
from.
through the proper channels?
No, they didn't. If they had done, they would have made a lot of money. They would have made millions. I mean, they would have made... you split it with the landowner 50-50.
Ah, right.
And then the museum will say, well, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? I remember in a minute. The assessor will say, oh, this is worth 5 million quid.
Right.
And then the British Museum hopefully will pay 5 million quid for it, which is then split 50-50 between the metal detector, the finder, and the landowner.
Imagine being the landowner, just an old man with a bit of land, like, and then they dig that up and go, yeah, it's worth 2 million quid. Here's half, like, oh, sound. That's mental.
Not going to happen in my back garden.
Yeah. Well, what I was saying about that porn stars program and all those different things that come through, about the Beatles guitar.
Yeah.
And all 4 Beatles signed it, and they were like, oh, get the expert in. And the guy glanced at it and just went, it's fake. It's fake. And she was going, no, it's not. No, it's not.
Dropped.
And she wanted like 250 grand, and it was worth absolutely fuck all towards after they assessed it. Like,
drop.
Yeah. Oh, what was the other one? The Def Leppard guitar. Some guy.
That's a great story.
Yeah, he brought it in. I can't remember what type of guitar it was. I'm not a fan. I don't really know. Not really into guitars. I don't know guitars. Eh?
Off the top of my head, no, Peavy's, they do amps.
Yeah,
they do guitars.
I think they do. Yeah, they do guitars. Yeah. But it was he hand painted a series of them.
The geezer from Def Leppard.
Yeah, the guitarist, and they said, "Oh, let's get an expert to come and check." And it was the expert from nearby, but he brought another dude, and it was the actual guy from Def Leppard.
Hey, Def Leppard are massive again now. They're having a huge resurgence, aren't they?
Really?
Yeah, I think one of their songs may have been in some soundtrack recently.
Yeah.
And it's like big again.
That's like fucking Murder on the Dance Floor.
Yeah. And also that Kate Bush tune.
Oh, yeah, in Stranger Things, wasn't it? Yeah.
It was massive, wasn't it?
Well, that guitar, the Def Leppard guitar, the actual guy looked at it and went, oh, yeah, it's one of mine.
Yeah,
and he got so much money for it. And it must be weird. Say that was you that came to some shop and some guy had your guitar from 20 years ago.
I'd be like, where you nicked that from, you bastard?
Yeah. And he's going, oh, okay, cool. So can I have 50 grand for it? You're like, what? You know, you've got enough money, but still, like, people are making money. Like signatures, you know, something that you signed 50 years before, like, say, Mick Jagger.
Yeah.
And still, to this day, someone's going, oh, I've just made 5 grand out of that.
Mate, a few years ago, Princess Diana's Escort, Ford Escort, went up for sale. Yeah, it was like a 1986 Escort that she had before she married Prince Charles, King Charles. And I think it went for like over £1 million.
Oh my God. I'll tell you what, they had on that programme, they had the Wayne's World car.
Oh, right.
The original one, all legit, but it's a piece of shit car.
Yeah.
And they were like, we'll offer you like 4 grand. It's something really small. And they were like, but it's the Wayne's World car. And he's like, yeah, but it's just shit, you know. And it didn't go for much at all, even though it's one of them classic
it's weird
films.
What goes for a lot of money and what doesn't go for a lot of money.
Yeah, when I said about the James Dean yearbook, and someone brought in a yearbook from high school, and James Dean's year in school, and he'd signed it Jim or Jimmy Dean, and they said, oh, it's worth this way less. And she went, well, it's fucking James Dean. And he was like, no, it's not James Dean. It's before he was famous.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, surely it's worth even more.
I saw a similar thing. It was a Led Zeppelin album, and it was signed by all the bands. 3 had signed the back, and Jimmy Page had signed the front. Yeah,
I think I've seen
it might be
that.
Led Zeppelin 1. And Page had signed the front, but all the other band members had signed the back. And because of that, it was like, well...
It's not together.
Yeah, you can't display it.
Oh
so
my
it loses
God.
value. Yeah, it's fascinating.
That's incredible. Yeah, it's like the
apparently Jimmy Page did that on purpose too.
Really?
It was like, well, it's my... because he kind of produced a band. He got it all together.
Like, you're not making money off us.
So he was kind of... For some reason, he just goes, yeah, you sign the back, I'll sign the front.
He
kind of made a point out of it.
You know what's really funny? Talking about Led Zeppelin and Wayne's World, I saw a video recently about the bit in Wayne's World where he goes to try out a guitar and he goes to play it and he plays a bit and they go, oh, no, wait. And it points to a sign saying no stairway to heaven. Yeah. But he said, and if you watch the actual film now, when he does play the guitar, the first like dun, 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 it's not that, it's just a random 3 notes because Led Zeppelin saw it before it came out properly, or the original release, and said, no. And said, you're getting sued. So they didn't, the first like, dun, 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 and that was it. And so if you watch like the main release really after it, the first bit, the commercial one, it is just dang dang random 3 horrible notes because they didn't allow.
They point it out.
Yeah, and I was thinking, you fucking petty little bastards. Yeah,
man. Often it's not the band; it's the record company.
That's true. Yeah.
They own the rights.
True. So for the last, well, however many hours, bar the pub. Yeah. We've been researching. What's his name, Kev?
Oh God, John Wayne Gacy, man.
It gives me the creeps.
Heavy shit.
Yeah,
heavy shit.
Heavy shit. And I did find out that his parents were big John Wayne fans.
Had to be.
It's not a coincidence.
When was he born? 42.
He was born in 42.
And so I wonder what John Wayne movies had been out around that time.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Must have been early in his career.
Yeah. But he was born. John Wayne Gacy was born in 1942 in Chicago to John Stanley and Marion Elaine Robinson.
Polish descendants.
Polish, yes, because he does say in interviews my dad was from the old country.
Old country. Yeah, even though his dad was a World War I veteran, he was, I think, probably born in Poland. Polish immigrant, or maybe second generation Polish immigrant.
Yeah, because I was trying to look for this because he does say it from the old country. We think, well, where's he from? And I looked on Google and it doesn't say anything really that I can find anyway, but he does say in interviews, being from, because he represented the Polish community when he was older, when he was into politics and stuff.
That's it, he was putting on things and he was, we'll get to that later on.
Yeah.
However, his dad was a bit of an opposing, like so many of these individuals we've been looking at.
Yeah, he was an alcoholic.
Was a bit of a bastard.
Alcoholic, physically abusive.
Yeah, apparently he'd hit everybody in the household.
Yeah, he had many
which we saw on an interview that the geezer, Gacy had said himself.
Yeah, he said he was horrible. And, he said, I can't remember how many siblings he had, but he said, he'd hit us all. All of us. Like
and the wife, obviously the mum.
Yeah. So, Gacy, he was born in 1942 in Chicago to John Stanley and Marion Elaine. Dad, World War I veteran, alcoholic, and apparently... he had 2 sisters, and he would hit them with a razor strap if they were misbehaving.
That's what Dad was hitting them all with, razor.
And he would also belittle him because he was not the typical, like a all-American kid, baseball player or whatever, athlete. He was a bit chubby.
Had a heart issue.
An enlarged heart and whatever.
And at 14 he was hit on the side of the head by a swing.
Yeah.
Which gave him seizures.
And he would belittle him quite a lot. Call him, was it like sissy and...
Nancy boy
and whatever. Probably a bit feminine. But so... During towards the age of about 6 or 10, between the ages of 6 and 10, his psychosexual history began.
Whoa.
Which is
And this is when he was accused of was it molesting some kind of neighbour's kids at a young age? And
he was accused of molesting a family. When a teenage daughter of one of his mother's friends reportedly undressed and played. Oh no, this was them molesting him, from what I can get from my notes here. But he does. Oh, that was it. Sorry, yeah. In an interview, he does say that a family friend, a construction worker, that was it.
Yeah, the contractor next door took him for drives.
Yeah.
And would wrestle him.
Yeah.
And put him in these
that
weird
was it.
wrestling
Yeah.
holds.
This is, or was it the tombstone? Let's go between my legs.
Very weird.
And he said, "Oh, this was just a wrestling move, but it was't for the bloke."
No, that's what we figure. And he was young at the time, so he was a bit naive, didn't quite understand it. But later on, John Wayne Gacy describes it as abuse, isn't he?
Yeah. But yeah, so from the ages of between 6 and 10, he was molested at a young age by a family friend and contractor. And at ages between 10 and 12, he and a friend were accused of sexually fondling a young girl. So it's transported to him. You know, it's shifted to him to become the abuser from a really, really early age. He was between 10 and 12.
I mean, why do people do this? I mean, oh, goodness me.
A sickly, overweight, uncoordinated child, Gacy was unable to perform at sports or bond with children his own age. He suffered alienation at school, unable to play with other children due to a congenital heart condition that was looked upon by his father as another failing.
Yeah, his dad wouldn't have liked this.
So everything about him he didn't like about his son.
Yeah.
He experienced frequent seizures and blackouts as a teen and was regularly in and out of hospitals. Though his father accused him of faking the ailments for attention, Gacy later realised he was attracted to men and experienced great turmoil over his sexuality.
And he knows his dad would have hated that too. Imagine his dad's awful.
Because you think about it, even today, most people who think they might be gay don't want to come out to their parents.
So Polish, so probably Catholic.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of Polish people are religious. So you got that, and
you know, it's so hard, obviously today, to be anything other than heterosexual. But back then, this was in the when was this? In the 50s, early 60s.
Yeah, so he'd have been say 16, 17, around the late.
And wasn't it illegal as well?
Yeah.
Then?
Well, he did go to prison, didn't he? Actually, for
yeah.
He went to prison for sodomy. He was arrested for sodomy.
So this is where we're getting to.
Later on.
Well, so we're moving on to his family life, career and family life as he got older. So when he left school, despite not graduating high school, he attended and graduated the Northwestern Business College in Chicago, then worked as a salesman and a manager at a shoe company in 1964. Then he met his later wife, Marilyn Myers, whose father owned 3 KFC restaurants, which he ran for him. Then they had 2 children together.
Now, all of a sudden, if you're running 3 KFC restaurants, I mean, he must have been making some decent money, you know.
Yeah, well, you see,
if
like...
you're running 3 of them, surely.
Yeah, because he says in interviews, doesn't he, that he was a full-blown businessman and a workaholic, didn't he? And we'll get to that later when he says, like, oh, my marriages failed because I was a workaholic. It's like...
a workaholic.
No,
Maybe
it wasn't.
because you were really weird.
To say the least.
And killing people.
Gacy became a self-made building contractor and Democratic precinct captain in the Chicago suburbs in the 70s. So he was involved in...
local politics.
And...
The Democratic Party. And he helped him put on a few fundraisers. And he would have mingled with quite a lot of important, influential people at this point.
Yeah.
And he would have got to know a lot of people.
So I'm laughing because Felix is trying to lick the mic.
My dog's very close, don't you, Felix? But he would have met a lot of important people, gained influence, and been seen. You know, one of the things we've been discussing over the last day is how do these people get away with it for so long and appear so nice? You know. Like later on, we're going to discover that John Wayne Gacy's neighbours, they all think he was a lovely guy.
As they all do.
How do they get away with it for so long?
Yeah, like, well, you know, I think I seem to come back to Ted Bundy in some of these topics of other people, because he was such again, he was like the perfect example of someone that was doing such fucking horrific, deviant things, yet maintaining but not just existing. He was maintaining a really successful, like he was the pillar of the community. Ted Bundy, when he was doing law, and I don't know what else he was doing. He was doing law, I know that, but in college. And I remember at one point, they did a campaign and handed out leaflets around college to women to give them tips on how to avoid rape.
While he was
Ted
actually perpetrating
Bundy,
it, he was doing it.
And this is my point about Gacy. He's trying to be some pillar of the community, the local politics, and he's
tried very hard to do that, didn't he? He was working his arse off. Had all these
yeah.
different construction companies and paint decorating companies. He had a tarmacking company. I think he had an office cleaning company as well.
Yeah, and the construction company is where it started, I think.
Yeah.
So it says from our notes, from our research. He later speculated his political involvement might have been an attempt to antagonise his father, who mocked his interest in politics.
So he's old man, probably a Republican.
Going against his dad, yeah.
Yeah, he's
so
a
rebel,
man,
a rebellion. A quote from him, and maybe it was a way to get acceptance, he said. I was always looking for acceptance because my dad made me feel like I was never good enough.
And political parties, they love a volunteer that's going to do 10, 15, 12 hours a week. And so if he's stepping up helping a local Democratic Party, he's going to...
Yeah, he's making up for being this like chubby little kid that can't do anything for his dad in later life. He's thinking, well, maybe I'll use my brain,
Well, one hopes that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So he was well liked in his community. He organised cultural gatherings, obviously the Polish community, and was active in political organisations and the JC's civic group. What's the JC's?
Now, I reckon that's some kind of Polish civic group where they kind of just got together. He said he organised lots of rallies and carnivals. We've seen pictures of him wearing that red kind of, looks like a fake military outfit.
Yeah.
So there would have been loads of these, but I reckon there'd have been more voluntary organisations. He was probably a Mason, because every kind of influential businessman in America is belongs to a local temple. It says
Gacy later called this the happiest period of his life, and he even earned much coveted praise from his father, who said he had been wrong about him the whole time.
I've been wrong about him.
So he's obviously had all this adulation from everyone but his dad, and his dad's obviously been pushed into a corner and gone, actually...
Well, his dad's actually seeing his son make some money.
Yeah.
But this would have been after. This would have been after he'd gone to prison for the first time.
No,
this hasn't happened yet.
No.
Oh my life.
We are getting to that, Kevin.
Oh my life.
Oh,
that's right. Because Okay.
Try not to jump ahead, aren't we? Gacy said, back then, I was thinking of running for alderman. After that, I wanted to go for mayor, and if that worked, I was going to run for the Senate. I didn't see any limits.
Yeah, he had, totally. And he was, again, people saying how well liked he was and how loved he was.
And what was he famously known for? Famously known for.
Honestly, he was a clown.
He was, yeah.
He spent some of his time every month clowning.
Yeah.
So I imagine he went to clown conventions. I imagine he learned. He knew a few magic tricks, bit of slapstick stuff.
Yeah.
It's chilling, man. And the pictures of him in that outfit and all the.
And it's not even a nice clown. Like, I know a lot of clowns, especially years ago, even when I was a kid. I tell you what, there's a photo I found in the family, like, bunch of photos, and there's a photo of me, a little A5 thing, and it's like my mum's obviously taking it of me, and I'm looking up at her, and I've got this like really worried look on my face, like I've got like a fish mouth. I'm going, what? And I remember asking her, I was like, "Why? Do you remember?" I know it's a silly question, really, because you might not remember. It was years ago, but I looked about 4, and I was like, "Why did I look at you like that?" And she goes, "Because a clown walked in." So I'd obviously run over to my mum and gone,
"Oh wow!"
She remembers, yeah, because it was. I remember, like,
some people have a massive fear of clowns.
Oh, I did for a long. I'll tell you what as well. I used to have a reoccurring nightmare of Ronald McDonald.
Oh my God!
I swear to fucking God, mate. And I remember to this day what it was, because I had it so many times in a row. And I remember it was me in my actual bed, Like, so it wasn't like a dream world bedroom.
I bet you hated the adverts when you were a kid on TV.
Fucking hell, mate.
Mum, it's him. He's on telly.
He's back.
Want a
Honestly.
Big Mac? No.
Yeah.
I want a KFC.
But I tell you, seriously, it was me lying on my bed normally as I went to sleep.
Oh, no.
And
I don't know if I want to know this.
No, it wasn't that bad. But at being like an 8-year-old, it was fucking horrible. And I would look at my door, because my door was opposite to me, like opposite to the side where I rolled over, and it was opposite to me. And I'd just be looking at it for 30 seconds, nothing, and then it's like a film. It's really weird, right? One of them old carnival spirals would come out of the door.
Fuck.
I swear to God, mate. It's like an old creepy B-movie, carnival-y, horror fucking movie, like. And then that was it. It would turn and turn and turn and turn. And I'm thinking, oh, this is creepy as it is. What the fuck?
Oh, no.
And then Ronald McDonald would come out in the middle of it and spin with it really slowly around it.
How old were you at this point?
I was probably about 7. And it happened, I swear to God, probably every few days for a month.
Wow.
Because that's how I remember it so clearly. Really. So, yeah, clowns weren't my thing, mate. So,
For Tom, there's no such thing as a happy meal.
Trauma meal.
Trauma
That's what
meal.
it is.
That's the mayonnaise with your trauma. Hey, you've won a McDonald T-shirt.
And I remember. Do you remember in the meal brace McDonald's used to have the little? Well, they all did, but they used to have like a little corner, children's party corner.
Yeah.
Where they had like the
murals and the
models
and the crayons,
and it had a big fucking 6-foot Ronald McDonald just like smiling with his hands up, and I'd be like, I ain't going nowhere near that, Mum. Sorry, mate.
Like, that's your Christmas sorted next year. Get under the tree.
Oh, mate. Like, clowns in general, like, I don't remember ever feeling scared about any other clown. It was just that fucking bastard specific. And and I can't remember who I spoke to recently. But I might have been Tony, someone, but they said, have you noticed he's not around anymore, Ronald McDonald? It's not.
He's been kind of, yeah.
They're not on the adverts.
No.
But Burger King, you see like a modern version of a bloke with a crown on, but you don't see a clown on McDonald's adverts.
That'd be because focus groups will say that kids are scared of clowns.
Yeah.
That's what I would have.
I'll tell you what, I'm fucking glad.
I blame Stephen King and It.
Yeah. Oh, mate.
What a book.
And for the listeners who don't know about John Wayne Gacy, this will be fucking because of him.
We're back to the.
Yeah. So he was a member of the Chicago area Jolly Joker Clown Club.
I bet they sound like a great bunch of people.
Load of incels dressed as clowns. He frequently performed in clown attire and makeup at children's parties, charity fundraisers, and other events as his alter ego, Pogo the Clown, or Patches the Clown. Years later, during a conversation with detectives while he was under surveillance, Gacy discussed his work as a clown, remarking, "Clowns can get away with murder."
I tell you, there's a lot to be like you could deconstruct there, take apart, like on a psychological basis from that whole like hiding behind the mask and the outfit, and everybody would have known it was him, but it's not him because then you're like legitimately you're a character, so you're not John Wayne Gacy. You are Poncho, whatever it is, the clown.
Yeah.
And inhibitions go, and
well, he said that, didn't he? He said you can act a fool.
Yeah, you can regress to childhood.
Yeah. That's what he said, because he said his childhood was shit because his dad bullied him and no other kids liked him because he was like the last picked in a baseball team or whatever because he was this little fat kid. So he's same as like Michael Jackson. He's gone back to his childhood when he was older because he didn't have a childhood because he was so busy and famous and whatever.
Yeah.
So he, it's like that. So he's regressed backwards.
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh, I can act a fool and I can do what I want."
Yeah, get away with it because you're wearing this kind of crazy outfit.
Exactly. Well, it's like, if you wear, I don't know, you're sat with a friend inside
like
wearing sunglasses.
Yeah.
You feel more protected, even though, because no one can see your eyes, and it feels different, doesn't it? If I was sat here wearing a mask now.
Yeah, I think that's fucking hell, Tom, you're right. Tom, you okay, Tom? If I was here with sunglasses, you'll take the piss.
Yeah, but I think
I'd look cool.
Exactly, and you wouldn't particularly care as much because you feel a bit more safer. It's one of them things. So in 1968, Gacy was accused of sexually assaulting a teenage boy and attempting to assault another. He vehemently denied these accusations, and some community members believed him over the victim. He persuaded one of his employees to assault the victim in an unsuccessful attempt to stop him
Bloody hell.
from... Where's my notes now? From testifying. that was an important word on the other fucking page.
Very important word.
Gacy was convicted and received a 10-year prison sentence, after which his wife divorced him and received full custody of their children.
No, he got 10 years, but he only did about 18 months because he was
yeah.
a model prisoner.
Yeah, and they said it was weird because he worked his way up the hierarchy because he was very... you could open up to him and he made you feel at ease.
Yeah.
Even though he was old, like, because he was fat and older than the rest of them, they could have beat the living shit out of him. And he was for sexual assault for a young boy.
He should have been on the hit list, really.
Yeah. He would have been first on the list, but he kind of, was
manipulative. He manipulated people. He convinced them. He's like so many of these people we've looked at. They are master liars. They're master manipulators. But it's that self-preservation. They've been doing it for years. They are so well versed at. Okay, what do I say in my next sentence to not get into shit?
Yeah.
And they've been in that mode for a decade. It's just insane.
And I remember from the documentary we watched, he didn't confess what he did to other inmates. He said he showed a young boy pornography.
Fuck's sake.
But he didn't. He actually sexually assaulted the young boy.
Oh, mate, it's just appalling. And
he would have made them believe it because you watch interviews with him and you're like, and like Ed Kemper, you get sucked in and then you go, what the fuck did he just say? No, come on now, come on. So I can understand.
It's just so, there's so many, again, there's so much going on there. Like, middle-aged white Americans, there's almost like this bias towards, white middle-aged American guys. Oh, he did all this community work. Oh, he sought the earth. He wouldn't, it's just.
Yeah, again with Bundy, So when it all came out, everyone's going, what? It can't be old Ted.
Can't be him.
He lent me the lawnmower last week. He couldn't have fucking raped and killed 15, 20, 30 women or whatever, But it's weird because I always think about this where when you have, I don't know, a certain serial killer where someone knocks on the door and comes in, like Jeffrey Dahmer, and they say, oh, you could have smelt but maybe they did, but I wouldn't walk into your house and smell something disgusting and go, well, he's obviously got a dead body upstairs.
Could be, but also, like, over time, like, if you lived in a block where there was something decomposing, because it had happened over a slow period of time, and you've noticed it incrementally over a long period of time, you might not notice it.
Yeah,
whereas one of your friends may walk in, say, 14 days later, and go, Christ, mate, what's that stink?
Yeah.
But because it's crept up on you, and it's kind of almost subliminal,
Yeah, and you'd probably think, oh, he's just a smelly fucker.
Yeah.
He just doesn't wash, and he's got mould in his house and whatever. Not just two prostitutes decaying in his bathroom.
Mate.
Like,
oh, God.
So Gacy, apparently a model prisoner, he was released on parole in the summer of 1970 after serving only 18 months of his sentence out of 10 years.
And then he went back to his mum's, didn't he, I think?
Yeah, he was arrested. However, Gacy was arrested again the following year after another teen claimed he lured him into his car and drove him to his house, where Gacy tried to force him into sex. According to John Wayne Gacy himself, the charges were dropped when the boy didn't appear for the trial. Oh, no, it wasn't due to himself. It was a book, sorry. John Wayne Gacy defended a monster, the book. Charges were dropped. The boy didn't appear during the trial, which I find strange. Why would that just be dropped? I know that he can't say anything, but he's made a statement. So
he
why?
Could convince the kid was lying. He can't even turn up to court. He must be lying. There's no basis to the story.
And I suppose, if they got more questions for him and he's not there to answer them.
Yeah, he just say that. And he's got away with it so many times.
Yeah.
It's all this bravado.
And again, pillar of the community. These kids just want a bit of money out of me. I didn't pay him well enough or whatever.
Yeah.
So with financial assistance from his mum, he bought a house on 8213 West Summerdale Avenue in Norwood Park, Illinois, where all of his future murders would take place.
And this is after his father had passed away.
Yeah. And I remember on that documentary, apparently he was devastated because his dad died, but also the fact that he couldn't really get acceptance from him officially. You know, like his dad kind of went,
his
yeah.
Dad's not going to accept him now. He's obviously dead.
Yeah, he was like, wanted to.
That's
before that, kind of get together with him and go, let's sort our shit out. But yeah, he died and he didn't. So I think it made him a bit more wayward, like. But yeah, so around this time, there was a young boy that he had murdered, which I don't think they found out about for a while until way afterwards. 15-year-old boy, where he picked him up at a bus station, stabbed him to death.
For God's sake!
In self-defense.
Oh, that's what he said. That's what he said. Yeah. Yeah, they found that body, didn't they?
And they said, self-defense, what happened then?
Yeah, because then that was one of his defences about the bodies that they found, ultimately.
Yeah, and he said...
Oh, that one, yeah, that was a self-defence murder.
And they said, was it that Robert Ressler dude, the guy, the FBI dude? And they said, self-defense, so what happened then? And he goes, he came at me with a knife. So I grabbed a knife in his hand and turned it in on him.
That's it.
And he ended up dying. They said, what'd you do with him? He's like, I put him in the floor space.
Buried him under the house.
Bullshit! That's the, start of the things to come, like. So now, in 1971, he started a construction business called PDM Contractors, which grew rapidly and became financially successful. Also that year, he became engaged to Carol Hoff, who he briefly dated in high school. The two were married in 1972. Most of his employees were high school students and young men, funnily enough.
Yeah, a lot of them were young men.
Who he would proposition for sex, sometimes under the threat of violence. Nevertheless, Gacy kept up a public front as a community man, hosting summer parties that were very popular and well attended.
He'd invite these employees of his back to his home after work for a game of pool. They had a pool table and a few beers, and then he'd proposition them. And if they got offended, obviously most of them, I guess, did, he'd go, it's just a joke. I'm only joking. Just a test.
Yeah. Especially when they're young. It's like, he's older and he'll say, so have you got a girlfriend? Are you gay? But he's trying to get his feelers out there, literally. Like Jeffrey Dahmer, his first victim, when he was 18, he was a hitchhiker or jogger or something. And he offered him a ride, and this guy said, well, no, I'm all right. And he goes, well, actually, do you want to come back to mine? I got a few beers, I got some weed or whatever. And he was like, sound, yeah, this hippie type. Came back, and eventually Jeff got a bit pissed and was like trying to get it on with this guy. And this guy went, whoa, I ain't gay. And then eventually he hit him and killed him. So yeah, it's a similar thing where he's trying his luck just in case, and then,
Goodness me.
Yeah. So Gacy committed his first known murder in 1972 in January, after luring the 16-year-old Timothy McCoy to his house for sex. The next morning, he saw McCoy standing in the bedroom doorway with a knife and rushed to attack him, wresting the knife away and stabbing McCoy to death. Afterward, Gacy belatedly realised that McCoy hadn't been attacking or threatening him, but rather was holding a knife because he had just made them breakfast. Nevertheless...
So he's admitted this in confessions then, obviously.
Apparently so, yeah. Gacy discovered he received sexual gratification from killing McCoy, and later said, that's when I realised that death was the ultimate thrill. And that was victim number 2.
And then,
And this is before the spree, this is his, testing ground, actually, second time round, I enjoyed the killing.
Oh, don't, honestly.
But I think maybe the first time he did enjoy it, but he claims that it was in self-defense.
And then...
he slipped and fell on a knife.
And then, I don't want to jump too far ahead, although I do a bit, only because it's so, grim.
Go on, Kev.
Well, ultimately, so now he starts killing kids.
Yeah, teenage
15,
boys.
15, 16, 17, 18-year-old boys over the course of the next few years. And eventually, he is caught. Okay, it takes a long, when
Calm down, mate.
Well, I don't want to, Ultimately, he is caught. Thank goodness me.
Yeah, we wouldn't be talking about him.
Yeah.
Well, we could be.
But in that time, just the amount of people he had murdered. When he was caught at the time, he was America's. He had killed the most victims. Is that right? He had killed the most number of people.
You know what I'm surprised about? That it wasn't in California. Because Jake's obviously from California. We make fun of him.
Yeah,
because
Jake's not here tonight.
In the 70s in California, the amount of fucking
Mate, the whole of America was unsafe.
Yeah, but California in the 70s, Ed Kemper, and I think Ted Bundy fucking flew by there a bit. God, it's unreal, absolutely unreal. Yeah, Jake's not here tonight.
Yeah, lucky Jake. Oh, dude, because Jake would be like, oh,
glad I live here. So after this first victim, another one of Gacy's victims was John Butkovich, an 18-year-old employee from his construction company. He lured him into the house with a promise to discuss overdue pay. Once there, Gacy gave him alcohol, tricked him into putting handcuffs on, and then strangled him. The use of handcuffs became a frequent method for him from then on. He would sometimes tell his victims he was showing them a magic trick, which, again, he's thought about this.
Goodness me, it's just so awful. I mean, it doesn't even bear thinking about. Imagine, it doesn't even bear imagining.
So John's parents were suspicious of Gacy and called the police more than 100 times.
Thank God somebody was suspicious.
Urging them to investigate him further. But I don't think that any of that really followed. They knocked on his door, like, can we have a look around now? Nothing here. And this kid, bless him, was probably fucking buried underneath his house.
Another one.
The whole time. But it seems back then, they're all like, oh, well, they're young kids. They're just probably pissing around with their friends. They've jumped in a car, got drunk and driven away somewhere. He's probably camping in the mountains for a week. We'll give it a while.
But you say you got the construction workers that are going missing from his company. When he was managing the KFCs, a number of those people...
Yeah, and he's the common denominator, and they didn't follow any of it through. It's fucking nuts.
It fucking hurts your mind.
Yeah, it does.
Hurts your mind thinking about it.
So by the middle of the 70s, 2 more young men accused Gacy of rape, and he was questioned by the police about the disappearance of others. Gacy referred to this period of his life as his cruising years, when he committed most of his murders. Most of his victims were buried on the property, with several placed in the common grave underneath his crawl space. Which I found out when I was looking this up, that he even got contractors, I don't know if they were from his own thing, probably not because that would be too suspicious, but he got people coming in to make more space underneath his house. Because he was obviously pushing these bodies in and making more fucking space for them.
The whole idea of crawl space is a bit weird. It doesn't happen in British houses. But in many American homes, you've got these insulationary bits where you can...
and a lot of them they're just it's it's above the ground, isn't it? And there's
sometimes it's underneath, sometimes it's around the walls. You have you have an outer wall and an inner wall.
Yeah, plenty of room for bodies apparently. So one of his victims, a 17-year-old employee again named Gregory Godzik, told his family that Gacy had earlier ordered him to dig trenches in the crawl space at his home.
Christ.
Gacy later told police he arranged this work to create space for graves. Oh, so that was it. So he's got one of his own. He did. So I was wrong.
Mate.
So he just asked one of his young lads to go, can you just do this for me? So then, here we go. After Godzik went missing, his family contacted Gacy, who told them that Godzik had confided to Gacy that he had planned to run away from home.
Oh, for God's sake.
Pillar of the community, though, Kev. He must be right.
You're just thinking, hurry up and stop this guy.
Yep. And there's a lot of cases like that. There's, Jeffrey Dahmer. Well, all of them, Ted Bundy. They went on for way fucking too long, Really strange. Gacy killed several more victims during this period. One he left alive was Robert Donnelly, a 19-year-old college student he abducted from a Chicago bus stop. After bringing him to his house, Gacy raped and tortured him, dunking his head repeatedly in a bathtub until he passed out and performing fake executions with a gun loaded with blanks. Donnelly was in so much pain he begged Gacy to kill him, but Gacy let him go and warned him not to tell anyone. Okay, then. Yeah. Especially when the police were sniffing around him already, like.
It's just. I mean,
You're
thank
right there,
God
Kev.
that guy got away. Firstly, thank God somebody lived, you know. But goodness me. And then the police did. I remember reading about this, and the police went and asked him questions about this incident. And he said, "Oh no, it was a consensual sex slave."
That's what I was about to say.
And the police.
Yeah, sex slavery thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was on one of my TikTok videos, which people should check out. I do them quite often. I do compilations of like couple killers, spree killers, whatever. And one of them was a couple that killed loads of people. I can't remember the exact story, but the woman in the case got a lesser sentence because the defense convinced everyone that she was in a owner slave relationship because
hell.
she played the like victim and was like, no, he made me do these things, and apparently not.
Goodness me.
So she got like 30 years in prison. He got the execution chamber. He got execution.
I've heard of other similar things like that, actually.
Yeah. But not like Rose West, though.
Well, don't. Honestly, that was really... that was... Goodness me.
She wore the trousers in that fucking thing.
That was so fucked up.
Yeah. So eventually, after the Robert Donnelly case, where he escaped and told everyone, and everyone went, "Nah, you were just having a bit of homosexual relations, and it went wrong, and you're just a bit traumatized because you're only trying it out because you're a kid, and blah blah blah." It's like, no, he actually tried to fucking kill me. Gacy killed someone 1 month later. So by 1978, so he'd killed a lot more people by this point, young boys, teenage boys. And I thinking about it, I don't think they were older than 19, because he was 19, 18. So they weren't even in their 20s. So by 1978, his crawl space had no more space for bodies. And he started to dispose of the victims in the Des Plaines River from a bridge off the Interstate 55.
Oh, goodness me.
So
that's the point, because at one stage he had to go in for questioning regarding some case. He was many, many hours late.
Yeah.
And his car was being pulled out of the snowbank, and and he went in at 3 a.m. in the morning, covered in mud, fitted to be interviewed by the police. And the reason his car was towed out of the snow bit by the river was because he had been dumping a body that night.
Covered in mud. And he was like, "Oh no, yeah, just trying to get my car out the thing, like covered in mud." So he's trying to throw him off the trail, isn't he? Like,
it's awful.
So December the 11th.
They've got to be close to catching him now. Come on, please.
1978, December the 11th, 15-year-old Robert Piest went missing after telling his mother he was going to meet Gacy to discuss a potential construction job. This is...
Well, he said, I'm going off to meet a man.
Where he worked.
Yeah.
After his shift. Yeah, go on.
And so his mum's waiting outside. They were going to go for a birthday dinner. His mum's waiting outside, and he said to his mum, wait in the store. I'm going to go chat to this guy who's offered me a job in construction. Even he was never seen again.
And I said to you, obviously, like, I know it's horrible, you've got kids. Can you imagine, like, Dad, we're in the pub. This bloke in the car park's just offer me a job. I'm going to have a quick chat with him and never to see them again.
Oh, don't.
It's the most horrific.
It makes your heart.
Fucking gross, man. So after a lengthy period of police surveillance and investigation, police discovered a receipt in Gacy's house that had belonged to Piest, contradicting his claim that he had no contact with him the day that he went missing. This resulted in further searches of Gacy's house, eventually leading to the discovery of several trenches filled with human remains.
Well, they found, in one of the wardrobes, they found some planks. Copper put a screwdriver underneath it to see if it lifted up. And basically he said the whole floor lifted up.
Yeah.
At which point they went underneath, found this crawl space, and they started looking there for remains.
And they said the smell. And the thing is, as soon as you open it and the whole floor comes up, that in itself is like, why the fuck have you got this whole...
And there'd have been marks there from previous ways of getting it up.
Yeah.
And also, underneath his house, there's lots of clay. But there was also loads of lime there. He had put down, I think he said £70 worth of lime powder. You just... I mean, I
think it was only recently that because I've seen, Goodfellas.
Yeah.
Film, Henry Hill, the main character,
yeah.
the real guy. He died a few years ago, but he went on Howard Stern, right? And he's done multiple interviews, but this Howard Stern one, it's quite shit, really. It's quite sad in a way, but he's an alcoholic in later life. He's really drunk on this show. I'll send you the link. It's fucking nuts. Anyone that's interested in mobster stuff and like serial murders, true crime, watch it. Howard Stern, Henry Hill, and they ask him as a joke kind of thing, like, oh, so how did you like get rid of bodies and that? And because he's so drunk, he's like, well, all you need is a big hole and loads of lime. And they're like, what lime? What's that for? You know, and they were, it makes it decompose quicker and then it hides the smell or something like that.
Wow.
So, and I didn't know, and because all these cases, I'm thinking lime, like why? What was it for? And it's because of that. I was thinking, holy shit.
He had covered the entire bottom of his floor underneath his house, obviously on the earth, covered it in lime.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know, shall we say the number of how many bodies they found there?
Well, the next sentence I was gonna say,
oh God, go on,
was Gacy then eventually confessed to killing about 30 people.
They found 29 bodies in his house as such under the floor.
Yeah.
27 under the floor and some in other bits.
Like in his driveway, I think one was underneath the driveway.
Yeah, one in
the
the garage, one under the driveway, and then he had killed another 4 people and got rid of there.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable.
And saying this, he confessed to killing 30 people. These interviews we watched with him, though.
Yeah, he said, oh, it wasn't me, I didn't say that. I know, I've never met any of these people before in my life.
The book.
It's Brainwash, You're Brainwashed. He's got this massive book, hasn't he? When he's being interviewed, he's going through like his notes, which look to be perfectly like in order in that massive binder. It's massive, and he was there, and he looks like he's trying to convince you that he didn't do it.
Yeah.
He's still trying to kind of pretend that he is that upstanding, decent member of society. And when he did kill somebody, it was in self-defense.
Yeah. And what was it? From this book, obviously that he made himself, because he said, oh, even when I was in my construction job and whatever, I used to make
amazing accounts
notes of it. And he was like, oh, so many of these so-called murders that I did, there's documents of, because I used to keep documents about everything. There was proof that I was out of state at the time, hotels I stayed at, meals I ate. And it's like, well, you're the owner of this company. You can just go, well, I'll slip that in there.
Yeah, well, he was saying at the time that another police station had those records and never got back to him. But you just know it's just unbelievable watching him and trying to talk.
And he said,
he's trying to, in the interviews, he's trying to be in control. He's trying to manipulate the kind of the framing of all of everything, so it looks like he's not the bad guy. But 29 bodies are found under his house.
Yeah, and he said as well, he named about 4 other people, didn't he, that worked for him? And
his employees.
Yeah, and he said, in my house, he said I had to make it bigger because we had a boardroom that was really big. This table was 8 foot by 10 foot for meetings.
And he said they all had sets of keys.
They all had keys. So he's basically saying that, when I was out being a pillar of the community at this fucking barbecue with like 100 people there, a couple of my mates had gone back, killed someone, and dumped it under my floor.
They were taking people back to my house, killing them and burying them under my house.
Yeah, on top of the 1 or 2 that I admit to. But coincidentally, these other guys did the rest of it.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm getting done for this shit. And he named them all. They've clearly
named his colleagues.
Yeah, they've clearly been questioned, whatever, cleared.
I've been looking them up on Facebook in half an hour.
yeah. But, that was his, like, and in these later interviews, 1992, wasn't it? Because it was 2 years before what happened. And he's saying, he's got this big book, and he's going, when he had the picture of all the victims in one photo, and he's going, don't recognise any of these.
Don't recognise any of these.
Never met them. And it's like, some of them were official fucking employees of his company.
It's just beyond belief. And, this is a couple of years before he was executed, wasn't it, that interview? Goodness me.
So in 1979, Kev, months after his arrest, his house in 8213 West Somerdale Avenue in Norwood Park, it was dismantled in an effort to find more evidence.
Oh, dear.
The following year, the house and all structures of the property were demolished, and a new house was eventually built on the property. According to one worker involved in the demolition of the house, it's the devil. If the devil's alive, he lived here.
Goodness me, imagine the chills working there.
Imagine fucking living there now.
No.
It's like BTK's house, wasn't it? Because that got demolished. And Kerry, remember the daughter? The interview with her and the news, and she's walking to it, and she's like, "This is where we used to play on the swing in the garden," you know, and it's gone, completely gone. And they've obviously made a new house, like built a new house, and gone, you know, who wants this for half the price?
Me.
I'd live there. I'm a bit morbid like that. I think it'd be quite. You get money out of it, tourist attraction. So
notorious Airbnb.
Yeah. I'll tell you what. Talking about that, there was a series on Netflix a few years ago called The Dark Tourist.
I've heard about.
I've
heard about this.
And he was like an Australian Louis Theroux.
Oh,
he was very.
They go to that Japanese forest.
Yes.
Oh please!
Where people were killing themselves and
they were going and hang themselves,
and they were going to Fukushima with the
the nuclear thing.
Yeah, and there was a bus going through it past the boundaries of where you were supposed to go, and they were asking the bus driver like, and with the little monitor things they had, the detectors,
beep, 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 beep.
And they were like, do not, if it's past 0.5, then don't do it. And it was like fucking 300 and something. And he was like, do you mind if we get off the bus and have a look? And they were like, yeah, go on and have a cheeky look. Like, getting money out of it, like. And they found like old arcades, dust everywhere, people's houses, the plates were still on the tables and all that. And that was a tourist attraction. But my point was, Jeffrey Dahmer, there was one episode which was the gay club that Jeffrey Dahmer picked up a lot of his victims and took home, or did stuff with them there. There was all these, outside, the tour guide was telling them the whole story. And 90% of the audience, like the people that came, the customers, were young, pretty girls, like 20-year-old girls, right? And you're watching it going, and they're all, and he's interviewing them, like Louis Theroux, you know, he's quite like, you know, blunt, and he's like, so what's attracting you to this? And they're like, we just love Jeffrey Dahmer. He's just so cute.
No way.
Yeah, it's just, honestly, it's so fucking weird. And his tour guides, obviously, they're going, cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching.
Goodness me.
It's nuts, absolutely nuts. And it was outside the gay club that he basically, I don't know if it's still there now or if it is a gay club anymore, but it's still a building. And they're outside it going, and there was all these like mediums.
Oh,
and
no, don't.
And you know, with that like...
Oh, it gets worse, the
like,
clairvoyance.
With the fucking metal rod thing.
Oh,
and they're going,
pendulums.
If you're here, Jeffrey...
Oh, don't say that. Did you really see that?
Yeah,
Please don't say that.
And they're all... And they've got fucking like single candles in their hands. And they're like, oh my God, Jeffrey's here, man.
Oh,
Jeffrey's
please don't
here.
say that.
And they're like, we love you, Jeffrey.
Why would you do that?
Yeah, exactly.
I can't know.
Exactly. So, I mean, if you want to go halves on Gacy's house now, if it's cheap, you know what I mean? It's an investment. You know what I mean?
Goodness.
So Gacy's trial began on the February the 6th, 1980, and when he confessed to the crimes, the arguments were focused on whether he could be declared insane and thus remitted to a state mental facility. Gacy spent hundreds of hours with doctors in a correctional centre in Illinois and underwent a series of psychological tests. He tried to argue he had multiple personality disorder and that his mind was split between the personalities of a contractor, a clown, a politician, a police officer named Bad Jack, and many more. Gacy, get this, Gacy claimed Bad Jack hated homosexuality and viewed male prostitutes and some of Gacy's victims as scum, weak, stupid, and degrading. You know, and like...
well, they think he was a massive homophobe, don't they? I mean, it was maybe drummed into him by his dad.
Yeah.
And even though he's been described as a gay man, John Wayne Gacy was a gay man. He wasn't really a gay man.
Well, he said he was bi in an interview.
It's kind of, yeah.
He's because he was married twice, but obviously they all say that.
He was repressed. He was massively repressed.
Yeah, and I think what he's done is like it's been drummed into him that being homosexual is bad. So when he's become homosexual and realizes he's homosexual, he's
just hated them all.
He's hated them, but he obviously enjoyed it at the same time.
Goodness me.
So that's obviously fused together, hasn't it? You know, with the violence.
Yeah.
So he pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity, and he went to trial.
Well, his defence team pleaded not guilty.
Sorry, yeah, that's the right, yeah.
Because I don't think he wanted them to plead insanity, because if you plead insanity, you also admit guilt. You're going, yeah, I killed these people. However, I'm insane.
So he didn't want to do it.
He didn't want to admit guilt.
And they were like, that's the best way to go, mate. You know, because you won't get like the chair, or you won't get, you get probably a bit of a cushy ride compared. So he pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity, and he went to trial for the murders of 33 people.
Fuck's sake. Which means he probably killed more, but weren't caught.
They say this about all of them, don't they? Like,
mate, absolutely.
Was it Jake was saying last time we did BTK? He said recently, like in the last few months, that he's seen articles where there's a possible new body found. Yeah,
totally. Yeah, it's related to that.
And it could be. I saw recently, wasn't BT, it was Gary Ridgway, the Green River Killer.
Oh, right, yeah.
And they found a body, and they're looking, and all evidence around it, they're thinking that is very likely it was one of his victims.
Loads. I bet there's
because
loads
what's stopping
like
him? Like if there's that many under his belt, why wouldn't there be more? If he didn't know about it,
Exactly.
Yeah. So the prosecution argued Gacy was sane and in control of his actions, pointing to the elaborate steps Gacy took to both prepare for and conceal his murders.
In the interviews we saw, he looks very sane.
Fucking 100%, mate.
He looks completely complimented.
Yeah. Because I'm assuming, it just in my mind, seeing an interview, which maybe audio tapes, which I've never ever found, but with Ed Gein, I can imagine him just being like, a typical, stereotypical, like insane dude, where he's unpredictable, says random things, But Gacy was just very like, I didn't do this because this, and he's going into detail with that fucking book.
He's defending himself and trying to, manipulate the conversation and take charge and be in control.
Yep, exactly. So apparently, I'm quoting here, these were certainly the acts of a man capable of premeditation, acting in his own best interest under duress, and recollecting the details of his criminal activities. Said this was from a chief prosecutor, William Kunkel. That's my new favourite word from this.
Kunkel.
Kunkel. K-U-N. Kunkel. Mental health professionals testify for both sides about Gacy's mental state. On March the 12th, 1980, after a short jury deliberation, Gacy was found guilty of committing 33 murders, and he became known as one of the most ruthless serial killers in American history.
Unbelievable. He bragged, didn't he? He said there were 13 psychiatrists at my trial, 7 for the defence and 6 for the prosecution.
When we were saying earlier about Ed Kemper, when in these interviews he will always go off on a tangent about like how good of almost like an accomplishment he's done, not for the murders but like other things, and he'll say like, oh yeah, at my trial there was this, and it's like, shut the fuck up, you've killed all these people.
And they said that was really helpful.
Yeah.
They said they wouldn't be able to catch him without me.
Yeah.
You killed them.
That's why we're here in the fucking first place. Yeah, and was it where Ed Kemper said in the prison interview with someone, and they were asking him, so what happened when you killed so-and-so? And he's going, well, this happened. But did you see that trophy case in the corridor? And they're like, no. And he's like, well, they're all mine. Because in prison, I was doing this for the inmates. And then it's like, well, that's not why we're here. You could be the most like high-standing inmate of all time in the whole fucking 200 years and that, but who gives a fuck?
But you still murdered and killed these people.
Exactly, yeah. So, and they always, they push that aside because they want it all to be about them, but their own satisfaction, for their accolades that they've got in their head, which don't really matter to anyone else, which I find is really odd. They push it aside a lot.
Yeah.
So he was found guilty of all 33 murders. He was imprisoned at the Maynard Correctional Facility in Chester for 14 years, appealing the sentence and offering contradictory statements on the murders in interviews, which is what we watched.
Yeah.
Oh, I never met him.
I never said that.
He was buried under my house, but I never met him.
I never said that.
No. It was those 4 other guys that probably don't even fucking exist. Although he had previously confessed, Gacy later denied being guilty of all the charges and had a 900 telephone number set up with a 12-minute recorded statement declaring his innocence.
Yeah, I've heard about this, yeah. So he would have pre-recorded his testimony, put it available on the end of a telephone box or a recording message. People can ring it up and hear his statement.
Nuts, innit? And you know what I put specifically in these notes because it's crazy. While at Menard, Gacy took up studying the visual arts, especially painting, which I think a lot of people listening have seen. He does a lot of clown paintings, etc. His paintings were shown to the public via an exhibition at Chicago Gallery.
What?
Many of his paintings depict Gacy as Pogo the Clown. In 2017, Mullock's Auctions in Shropshire
Oh, yeah, around the corner.
auctioned off several of Gacy's artworks, as well as crime scene pictures from the trial.
How did they end up in Britain?
Mate, when I read this, I fucking Googled it. I was like, Shropshire, where is it? We might know it. I found a website, and I saw, because they got archives there.
I'm pretty sure I remember it being in the Shropshire Evening Star.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
There was a little article about it, about this auction coming up, and there were these exhibits there by an American serial killer. This would have been about 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah, it says 2017.
Sure.
And when I went on this Mullock's auction website, because I typed it in, just Mullock's whatever, and they've got the archives there. So I looked because it's got like, I don't know, 15 pages. Went through the years. You can see the years. Went to that. You can see the exhibition thing.
See the paintings?
Yeah, like a little snippet on the side.
Weird.
And the crime scene photos.
Christ.
Which it says in the description, I remember says, were actually used. They were the physical first snapshots of the crime scenes that were used in the court case that ended up in fucking Shropshire.
You've got to be a crazy guy to want them. You know what I mean? The pictures.
I mean, I drafted out a bit of an email to reply to, because they weren't sold. It says here they were sold, but it says on the website they weren't. So because it's got like, at the bottom, ask us a question.
Where are they now?
Yeah, basically. And I was like, how do I go about this? Because they won't know where they are now. So I was like,
yeah, well, the original owner will have them. They'll have that on their catalogue.
So when I drafted the email, I was like, in so many words, I was like, do you know the owner's details? And I thought they can't pass those on.
They can't, data confidentiality.
So, yeah. So when I typed it out, I was like, that's not going to work anyway. So I got rid of it. But I was thinking, where are they now? Because he could have sold them, because that was 2017.
Where?
So they could be in fucking Africa. They could be in Australia. They could be fucking anywhere by now.
It's a weird thing, isn't it?
Someone's probably got them on their wall, They could be.
Goodness me.
But yeah. So after the US Supreme Court refused to hear Gacy's final appeal in October 1993, an execution date was set for the 10th of May 1994. Before his death, Gacy said the victim's family would get no comfort from his death and accused the state of murdering him. Again, like you said about Ed Kemper, I was such a big help to you guys.
Yeah.
Fuck off, man.
They're going to kill me. What for killing people?
Yeah. His last words were reportedly, do you remember, Kev?
They've got the word arsehole in there, isn't it?
Kiss my ass.
Kiss my ass.
But the prosecutor who tried the case and attended his execution said Gacy didn't speak in his final moments. Gacy was executed by lethal injection.
And when was it? 94?
Yeah. But I'm thinking, like, where did Kiss My Ass come from? It just must be like Chinese whispers or...
Yeah, totally. If it sells papers, it's, you know what I mean? People just say...
Because someone who was there might have gone... Cha-ching! I'm going to say that he said
he
this.
Definitely said "kiss my ass."
Because he's a monster in the media, like especially in the media as well. I might as well just put another bit in there, make him.
Nobody else
worse.
heard it, but I did.
Yeah.
Bollocks.
In the years since his arrest, there have been lingering concerns that Gacy might have been responsible for the deaths of other people whose bodies have yet to be found. And when police uncovered human remains in Gacy's house in 1978, 8 bodies couldn't be identified.
I heard about this, yeah, and they had people ringing up from all over the UK, all over the States, trying to say, "Is that my missing?"
It was the world, I think. They said it was, yeah. In July 2017, Cook County authorities used DNA evidence to identify one of these unidentified victims as 16-year-old James Jimmy Byron Hackinson, who had been reported missing since 1976. In October 2021, DNA testing identified another of Gacy's, which I'm reading this and I didn't even know this. Another one of his victims is 21-year-old Francis Wayne Alexander, who also disappeared in 1976. I find it strange how it took him that long.
DNA, the massive breakthrough.
But I mean... in the 90s, 2000s, you know...
I don't think you could do proper... I don't think DNA was as reliable in the 90s as it is nowadays.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
also now,
strange.
because of, it's amazing, because of people doing their DNA tests and, you know, finding out, oh, I'm 6% so-and-so, there's now massive data banks all across the fucking world of people's DNA.
I tell you what, mate, I've just remembered. So people listening might have heard of the Golden State Killer, right? And I can't remember his actual name, which is really bugging me. But I think it was like a Polishy type name anyway. American dude. And he was, I think he was in California again. Maybe somewhere like that. San Francisco, I don't know. Anyway, he was a police officer in the 60s, I think. And he would work his way into someone's house and rape and torture a woman. I don't think he, not all the time killed, like every other one he killed these women in their home. But because he was a police officer, he obviously had like, you know, ways of not to do stuff and putting gloves on and all this sort of shit. And then with women that he kept, like he left alive, he would ring them in the coming months, and torment them over the phone and whisper. And I've heard the some of the audio where he's whispering like, "I'm gonna fucking kill you," all this horrible shit, right?
Awful.
And this went. This was it went cold case for decades and decades and decades, right? Survivors still around, and eventually, I think this was during COVID, because when they caught him, he was in court with a mask on, and like he was an old man by this point. He had a fucking oxygen tank thing in a wheelchair. How they found him, which is absolutely incredible, was they went on the ancestry sites, and obviously because he left some DNA there. And obviously at the time they couldn't do it. So they put it through the database and they found matches. And they found like family members. So they whittled it all down, you know, a process of elimination. And they ended up finding him through like people that have put their saliva on the site, who was like his cousin or whatever. And they got him after, I think, 50 years, 55 years, something like that. And he was in court and he was this decrepit old man. And I've seen the footage of him in court, 'cause it's all over these American news clips and stuff I've seen. And they're going, on count one of rape and torture, I'll count as murder and did all these things. And he's going, guilty.
Bloody hell.
Guilty. And he died, I think he's dead now, because he was very old then. But that was about 3-4 years ago maybe. But yeah, Golden State, because of that database.
I think I remember reading about that.
It's
He's got away with it for
incredible.
like 30 years.
Yeah, oh man, absolutely nuts.
I've seen one of these DNA things on some YouTube video. And the result comes out, and the doctor or the scientist is saying, you know, it's 100% you, because it's only 1 in 11 billion people share this DNA. 1 in 11 billion, right? Population's only 8 billion. so it's definitely, unless there's another planet somewhere, it's fucking you.
Was I here? I think this was on something I can't remember.
Definitely
it rings a bell.
Watched. Yeah, absolutely. And I definitely remember him saying 1 in 11 billion. However, you know, DNA isn't infinite. It's not infinite. There's only so many combinations of DNA that there can be. So at some point, DNA would have to repeat itself.
Right,
because
okay.
It's not an infinite amount number of... It's astonishing.
Wow.
Anyway, there we go. And the sides.
Yeah, shit. So I've put at the end of my notes just a couple of quotes from Gacy.
Oh, dear.
We said this earlier, but a clown can get away with murder.
Yeah, which is a weird thing to say. But
he said, I think...
But theatrically, you can.
Yeah. And I think he said as well, all the detectives said in an interview that they think he meant about, like, you know, chatting up women.
Totally, well, you can get away with murder.
Because it's obviously a phrase, isn't it? Getting away with
totally,
murder.
but it's got that sinister undermeaning.
Yeah. And last but not least, I should never have been convicted of anything more serious than running a cemetery without a license.
See, that's a weird fucking dark thing.
That is dark as shit.
That's a weird, when you're thinking about stuff like that.
Yeah. And you know what as well? I was thinking earlier, and I said to you in the pub, I was thinking of some questions to ask you to end on.
Yeah.
And I didn't tell you what they were until now. Yeah. Would you rather Or actually, who would you rather
Go on.
spend years in prison in a cell with?
Oh, please, God, no. Go on.
The choice is between the people that we've previously
Oh,
covered.
please, God, none of them.
Well, you have to choose one.
Oh, mate, there isn't. Let me have a think.
So you got Ed Kemper.
No. No.
You've got BTK.
No.
You've got Fred West.
I reckon I could beat up BTK in a fight. Who could I beat up?
Yeah.
Who could I make sure I get the top bunk?
I don't think we've covered Dharma, but I'm going to throw him in there just for shits
not
and
him.
gigs.
It'd be too bloody no. It'd be that BTK because I reckon I could take him out in a fist fight.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it'd be
yeah.
terrible company.
Yeah, because I suppose Ed Kemper was like 7 foot fucking 50, wasn't he? He was huge.
Goodness me.
Yeah.
You can imagine him just throwing you around, man. And I know Kung Fu.
What about John Wayne Gacy? He was a short, plump dude. You could have had him as well.
Mate.
Although, wait, with BTK, he wouldn't try it on with you because he's not gay.
Oh, just don't, honestly.
So if you got Gacy, you close
No,
your eyes for a nap.
No.
You never know what's going to happen there, mate.
Yeah, but make sure we've got your shoelaces out.
Did
Yeah,
you
BTK,
think?
I reckon I could fight him. I reckon I could beat him up.
Right. Okay.
Other ones I'd be a bit like, oh, I mean, how'd you get that Ed Kemper kid?
You'd have to fucking.
Have to stand on the top bunk.
You would, yeah.
To the left, that's it, a bit more. Just there.
I did think of other questions, but I can't remember now.
Goodness me.
What about? Actually, what about either female-wise, like stuck in a room or whatever for a year?
Yeah.
Eileen Warnos or Rose West?
Oh, mate, no, come on. No.
Eileen Warnos or Rose West?
That bad queen from Game of Thrones. She'll do. Queen Cersei.
Go on, which one?
There's, none. It's just...
I think Eileen seems like a party animal. She'd be there like making hooch.
She'll be rowing over what station you got your FM radio station to.
Go on, which one?
No, neither.
You got to answer, mate.
I'd kill myself.
I mean, all our
Hang
millions
myself.
of listeners are gagging for this answer.
Oh my goodness me. Oh, I mean,
Eileen or Rose?
Oh God, it's. If I had to, gun against my head, it'd have to be Eileen. I mean, who wants to hang out with fucking Rose West?
But why Eileen? Is there any?
Because she's not Rose West. Goodness me. Goodness me.
I'm trying to think of another one now.
Don't. It's just too disturbing. So that's my mind thinking about it.
So there we have it. That was John Wayne Gacy.
Yeah, goodness me.
Hurts your head, doesn't it, a bit?
It does. It's like, yeah, it does. It's like, it's awful, isn't it, really? It's just awful.
Right. So that was Dead Stuff, John Wayne Gacy.
John Wayne Gacy.
Unfortunately,
hell.
Jake isn't here. R.I.P. Jake.
Oh, Jake.
But yeah, he'll be back for the next one. So yeah, I'll say bye from me. And
I'm going to finish on a joke.
oh, go on then.
How'd you kill a circus? Go for the juggler.
Oh.
I don't know where that came from. There we go. Bye, everybody.
Bye.